Alright, hopefully this video will feature 2 amp completions on 2 poor abused babies. This is that blonde Deluxe Reverb that had the messed up grill cloth and all that. We've done a lot of work already. And last time you heard this, everything was good except the 2 volume pots were noisy. They're from the 90s or 2000s, probably the 90s. Just changed those out and all the noise has gone from that channel. All the noise has gone from that channel, so I may include a little better playing clip of each amp towards the end of this with a mic. But now let me move on to that poor abused Mike Landau DeVille. Well, there's going to be a slight hitch in finishing up that Landau. I ordered the missing and damaged hardware. 6 of the long screws, 6 of the short screws, and I ordered 2 sets of 4 on the speaker screws, and they sent 1 set of 4. So I can install 1 speaker. I just opened this out of the package, and it's from a vendor that's usually great. I'll contact them. They'll send me the missing one. I paid for it. It's on the invoice to my left. Just one of those frustrating things where, this arrived Saturday in the mail, and I opened the package just right now because I'm ready to finish up that amp, and stymied. Anyway, I'll get it the rest of the way put together. We'll at least get a sense of how it's coming along. Dang it. Now down here, this PEM nut that had come loose from the chassis, I've got it secured real tight to the chassis with the screw, and the little ridges are lined up. It's where it used to be. I've mixed up a little bit of JB Weld epoxy, and I'm going to use this cut-off Q-tip to apply some all around the nut and the chassis. I've cleaned that area with some naphtha. I'll make sure not to get it on the threads of the screw. So after about 15 hours or so of setting up, I can remove this screw. The PEM nut should stay in place for the sole purpose of helping to secure the rear panel. That's all that PEM nut does. It should be strong enough. And people just need to be much more careful inserting and removing screws, because PEM nuts will pop out if you force them like that. Well, I've installed one of the new speakers, the ET65 there, with the 4 screws. And when the new 4 screws arrive, I'll do this one down here. But with this one in place, I was able to install the chassis. All right, as you can tell, that's that Hot Rod DeVille Mike Landau edition. The one that came up, and it was just, attempted amp death, ampicide. All the hardware holding the baffle to the cab was either loose or missing. The 2 original Celestion V-type speakers were hanging on by 1 screw and 1.5 screws, and the speaker frames were all deformed, and the huge gouges out of the metal as a result. And all the hardware had been chewed up pretty bad. So all new hardware that holds the panels on, all new hardware that holds the chassis in place. The PEM nut that had come out here has been epoxied back in place. It's holding just fine. Everything's nice and tight. Missing knob on the presence has been replaced. A new matched pair of WGS ET65s installed with the proper screws. Everything screwed in place. Some missing damaged hardware on the reverb tank replaced. The amp biased correctly. It was really cold. Some solder joints touched up here and there. And not a lot of massive work, but a lot of little things that really added up. And this amp, as it came in, was just a dog's dinner. Let's see how it sounds now. All right, both channels are the same. I've got the bright switch on for right now. I'll switch it off in a moment. If you switch to the second channel, you just have a very different volume level that you can set. So you can have 2 different levels. And there is a boost that I'll demonstrate, but it's not particularly stellar in my opinion. But that is just a subjective opinion. This is a good sounding amp. I hope that it lasts longer with fewer issues than other blues and hot rod DeVilles and Deluxes. This does have the less prone to failure 5-watt 330 ohms. That said, I have seen them fail, but it's a good sounding amp, and the ET65 sound great. It got a 57 on it, no compression or anything. There's a little bit of a noise floor if I have the guitar within 5 feet of the amp, unless I rotate it this way, in which case the light hits the guitar. So if I were playing on stage and I was 10 feet away from the amp, it would not be an issue. You may hear it here. So this is with the bright switch on. Turn that off. And I've got treble and bass at noon and the mids at about 9 o'clock. It's a very mid forward circuit, and the mids pot value is very large. So if you want it to sound more like a traditional Fender, keep the mids pot below 10 o'clock certainly. I mean, if you like it higher, that's fine. It won't hurt anything. Let's go to the other channel. And turn on that boost. So with the two different volume levels, you can pretty much find where you want that boost to be working for you. I demonstrate, natural overdrive, but it's too damn loud to be in the room with it. If I were to turn this up to overdrive, these things get loud at 2 and 3. And right now the volume on the first channel is at 3 and the second channel is almost at 4. So without the boost, that's this difference. And if you want to hear it brighter without the bright switch, and the reverb is the same reverb you have in other hot rod series. And for Robert Ludeman, all right, so this is very healthy. Let's see how that poor, abused, beat up, stoved in Deluxe Reverb came out. All right, so this is that poor, abused, blonde Deluxe Reverb that had the destroyed grill cloth, and it's been recapped. The normal channel has been changed more to the super reverb voicing. A mids pot added to the reverb channel. Just general niceties. New power tubes. Everything cleaned up, made reliable with the heaters, and had to change the 2 volume pots as the last bit of the puzzle. They just were making noise. Old volume pots turned into old resistors after a while. And now, without all that noise, it's sounding quite nice. Still having a little bit of a issue with my left hand. I had it wrapped up for 3 days and rested as much as possible. I love the way that mids pot works. It's just really nice to have on hand. I'll leave it here for a while. It's kind of a twin on 5 right now. There's no bright cap anymore in this amp. There's still plenty of high end, as you can hear. You can always add more with a treble pot. Imagine that. We switch guitars and do some of the normal channel stuff. Hands are all stiff and complainy today, so sorry. A little out of tune, sorry. It's a lot of changing of the seasons right now. So the amp and the guitar are up for it, even if my sad old stiff hands are not right now. It's very frustrating doing videos for the internet, playing for the world when you know you're not playing anywhere near your best. however lame your best may be compared to some 6-year-old playing Eruption. But I think it gives a sense of what the amp sounds like. And a Deluxe Reverb with no noise floor, with very flexible sounds, but that sound good pretty much anywhere you set it, so you don't have to think about the amp. That's just a nice thing to have.